Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to APP Sustainability Roadmap Vision 2020 First Quarterly Progress Report. My name is Asri Putri. It is my pleasure to be the moderator of today's event.
The roadmap, which was launched on June 5th earlier this year, has a set of series of targets for our sustainability strategy to take APP to the rest of this decade and beyond. Vision 2020 was a plan to create a new benchmark in pulp and paper sustainability for both the Indonesian industry and also for industry around the world. On June 1st, we have successfully imposed natural forest and peatland conversion in all concessions managed by APP, and we target that HCVF implementation will be adopted by our independent suppliers by end of 2014. The first major milestone I'm announcing today as part of this quarterly update is that our two independent suppliers in Jambi province in Sumatra have agreed to adopt high conservation value forest principles. This means that APP is able to implement a complete moratorium on natural forest development across its supply chain in Jambi while HCVF assessments are undertaken. Beyond Jambi province, APP and its independent NGO partner are constantly reviewing our sustainability roadmap to implement and accelerate the HCVF commitments by our pulpwood suppliers in Indonesia. We are now looking to identify which areas should be prioritized in the next phase of HCVF assessment. APP has also completed its updated responsible and sustainable business commitment, which covers all aspects of our operations with key policies that support our commitment to operate responsibly and sustainably. APP puts the responsible management of its fiber supply as a priority in its commitment to sustainable operation and environmental protection. The foundation of our supply chain is legality. It has long been a core principle of our company. SVLK will provide our customers around the world with a guarantee that the timber-based products they buy from Indonesia come from legal sources. This is especially important in the context of the EU, where the European Timber Regulation, or EUTR, will be implemented in March 2013. APP's high conservation value policy steps and a timeline to guide us and our suppliers in our efforts to ensure that the wood we use is harvested from forests in which high conservation values are protected by forest management activities. APP will be 100% reliant on sustainable pulpwood plantation by 2015. We will continue to develop low-carbon lands for plantation post-2015 with respect to APP-owned concessions in Indonesia, which are concessions which are managed and owned by Asia Pulp and Paper Group. Effective from 1st June 2012, we have suspended natural forest clearance and peatland conversion, while high conservation value forest assessments are conducted. With respect to APP's independent pulpwood suppliers in Indonesia, together with an international NGO partner, we will engage with immediate effect our independent suppliers to adopt HCVF assessment to be completed by end of 2014. And we will continue to review and re-evaluate supply agreements where HCVF assessments are not conducted. This chart shows that APP is ahead of target on high conservation policy number 1, moving to 100 plantation fiber by 2015 and reducing the use of mixed tropical hardwood in our supply chain. Our quarterly update shows that we are currently 4% ahead of schedule. By June this year, our mixed tropical hardwood was calculated to account just for 8% of APP Group's supply of raw materials, ahead of target of 12%. Therefore, we are on track to meet our 2015 deadline. Given the progress reported in this quarterly update, APP is on track to achieve the following targets by 2015: 100% HCVF compliance for independent suppliers, 100% reliance on pulpwood plantation for raw materials, 100% independent legality verification for all suppliers, 100% compliance with mandatory sustainable forest management regulations and standards. This chart shows that APP aims to be 100% compliant with all voluntary and mandatory certification system by the year 2020, and that we are on the right track to do that. A comprehensive certification action plan has been built to ensure that 100% of APP pulpwood supply will be certified by 2020. In terms of Vision 2020 roadmap, APP has commenced deployment of activities covering operations in China. In line with the deployment model for Indonesia, APP China and its independent NGO partner have completed an initial review of our operations there. From this review, a comprehensive high-level action plan has been formulated and communicated to all stakeholders. APP is building its internal implementation capacity right now, and work has commenced with independent suppliers from within China and from key supplying markets into China.
Why can't SDVF principles be implemented across your supply chains immediately?
With concessions that we wholly own and operate, of course, it's a lot easier for us to impose our new responsible fiber procurement policy and HCVF and FBIC policy. That's why we were able to impose full natural forest and peatland conversion moratorium on June 1st, 2012. With independent suppliers, it's different issues. First thing that we need to do, we have to socialize this policy to our independent suppliers. And then secondly, we have to measure their compliance against our policies. This is why I explained to you earlier about the scorecard system. The scorecard system lists each requirement according to our policy, starting from legality, associations to APP, to HCVF compliance. Have they done HCVF assessment prior to this, or have they not? And based on the scorecard assessment, we will find out exactly their readiness or level of compliance to our policy.
Basically, what we are trying to do within the preliminary assessment is we're trying to focus our efforts for the full assessment so that we know exactly where we need to spend a lot of field time collecting data. And there is going to be a lot of field time collecting data. There's going to be, I believe right now we're envisioning 2 teams running in parallel, each with 24 people. Most of them with GPS marking spots on the ground where potential HCV exists, where potential conflict exists, tenure issues, those kinds of things. So in the preliminary assessment process, what we're trying to do is review current existing research, literature, maps, etc., to try to narrow down our scope when we put these teams in the field, because it would be very, very intensive.
There are 2 things that the social team observe in the field. The first one is the level of dependency of the local community to the resources inside the concession. And the second one, the first dependency on the resources in terms of level of the livelihood for local community. And the second aspect that we observe is the use of the resources inside the concession to ensure that the culture and spiritual needs of the local community is met. We visited more than 80 villages in 2 provinces. Two provinces, Jambi and Riau itself, the concession surrounded by total 216 villages. So approximately 40% of the villages we visited. And we met more than 250 local communities, from elders, people who respected peoples, local community, farmers, and those who really very dependent on that kind of resources.
Could you please explain, is APP ready for the European timber regulations? Is SVLK enough, in your opinion?
From APP side, yes, we're ready. We are the first pulp and paper industry player in Indonesia to be SVLK certified. We have 6 units which has passed SVLK audit, and we have only a couple more to go. We are convinced that before the end of the year, all our production facilities will be SVLK certified. This will provide enough time for an audit process to be happening between the two governments, and also will provide enough time for a trial process to happen to try the export of SVLK certified products into EU that is happening next month, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, the government has requested APP to be part of the pilot project because we are the only ones ready so far. But hopefully other industry players in the pulp and paper will also catch up soon. So yes, we're ready, and Indonesia, I believe, is also ready to meet EUTR requirement.